Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Ian Yaki Wright. I am the gaming community manager for the USO. With me today, I have Inviicta. She is a gaming ambassador, a full time streamer, and content creator for the Tampa Bay Mutineers. I also have BigSyn, former Counter Strike professional and current CEO of Limitless. Welcome, guys. How are you?
Doing good, man. How about you?
Great, thank you.
I'm doing very good. Just so everyone knows, I am currently on the East Coast of the United States. Sin is on the West Coast of the United States, and Vic is actually in Korea. So we're all over the place. So thank you both for joining me at odd hours, especially you, Vic. But Sin, I know it's early for you as well. So thank you both for joining me.
You
Of
bet.
course.
So the purpose of this is really I just want to kind of have a casual conversation about what it's like to be a professional in the gaming space, right? Everyone knows that you can be a Twitch streamer. Everyone knows you can be a professional player, but what does it take to get into that? What's that process like? And I really am happy to have you both here because you offer a unique perspective. Because one of you, Sin, is an Air Force veteran, and the other, Vic, is a mill spouse. And so you offer that unique military perspective, but also you have a success story on how to become a professional in the gaming space. I want to start off something super casual, really easy. Don't want to blow anyone's minds with any hard questions yet, but what was the first video game you remember playing?
Oh, I think I'm 35, so I'm gonna date myself a little bit. But I think the first one that I really remember playing was like Wolfenstein 3D, and that was like in the early 90s, and it was one of my favorite games for the longest time.
Mine was Super Mario on the Super Nintendo. So I walked in on my parents. They had bought it for us for Christmas, but they were playing the console before they gifted it to us. So that was my first game.
I love that. I love that. I remember. So my first. I'm only slightly younger than you, Sid. I remember. I think the first game I ever played was Donkey Kong Country on Nintendo as well. Riding the rhino through the jungle, finding the secret walls. And I remember playing Wolfenstein, and of course Mario, iconic, probably the most iconic video game character of all time.
Yeah,
For
Um,
definitely.
sure.
And speaking of all time, let's just keep it rolling with another softball. What's your favorite video game of all time? You know, a series, you can say a series, a single game, standalone, but what is the one that when you're like, this is the game? Sin?
For me, it was Final Fantasy VII, and like that was the game. That was probably like the first RPG game that I played, and like that was the game that hooked me on gaming forever. And I will always credit that.
For me, it was definitely Call of Duty. Any Call of Duty game, I've been hooked. I mean, the first game I played was, I think, COD 4. And ever since, I've not been able to put it down. So,
Yeah, Call of Duty is it's just a titan, right? And it's
It
kind of
is.
earned that
mm,
spot. Like, it's been around for so long, and it's cool to watch it kind of go from like Call of Duty 2 was like one of the first launch games on the Xbox 360 that like kind of showcased the power, the
Yeah,
processing
definitely.
power, and now like Warzone, has taken over the planet. It is probably maybe the biggest game in the world right now, probably up there with Apex. But they captured that battle royale craze and are absolutely
yeah.
crushing it. Um, and speaking of Warzone, we have a full time Warzone streamer talking to us right now, Vic. So what's it like? What's it like to be a full time streamer? Like that's your job. That's what you do.
I mean, it's the dream. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it's every kid's dream, right? To get paid to play video games, and it's what I get to do. So I'm very lucky. It is a lot of fun. It's also a lot of work, but it's the perfect career for me as a military spouse. You know, moving every couple of years, and it's a portable career, and it's something that I can do on my own schedule. So it's perfect.
Can you talk a little bit about like I guess the journey, right? Can you talk about basically from that very first time you put on a headset and were like, I'm going to stream this game, whether it was like, I'm just going to stream this for fun to kind of see how I feel about it to where you're at now?
So I've been a gamer for. I mean, I've been playing COD for like 15 years, I think, now at this point. Um, So I was always doing it recreationally, and then I decided 2 years ago to hit that go live button on my Xbox, and it all kind of snowballed from there. So it, I didn't do it on purpose. I got I worked on my degree in marketing. I have a bachelor's in marketing, but I never really could do anything with it because we were moving all the time, and the opportunity just hadn't presented itself. So in a weird way, the gaming industry kind of just sucked me up, and I got to use my passion for gaming and my marketing degree and combine that all into one, and I just ran with it, and here I
So
am.
you started by pressing go live on your Xbox,
Yeah,
and
so
now,
Xbox used to be integrated with Mixer, so you could just
yeah,
you didn't even need a PC. I just hit go live, and then people were like, "Your camera quality is horrible. Your game quality is horrible. Let me help you fix this," And so it was kind of like my community built what I have now, because if without their help, I would have been clueless. I don't know how to fix these things. So it was really my community that built me up to where I am today.
and now you've got a fancy room with fancy lights and a fancy PC. But
Two
I
PCs.
know, I know you still play with a controller. Hashtag
Yes.
controller gang. I know me and you both on our PCs with controllers. We're the worst people on the planet. Um, let's talk about not playing with a controller. A game you can't play with a controller that requires the absolute flick and precision of a mouse. Counter Strike. Sin, you are a former professional gamer, which is, in my opinion, and I'm biased, the coolest title you can have on the planet, right? Like you're a gamer at the absolute highest level. People are like, I'm pretty good at a game. It's like, no, I'm literally a professional at it. Can you kind of talk to us about what it's like to be a now former, but at one point in
Yeah.
time a professional player?
Yeah, so it's a lot different today. I retired in 2009, which is a long time ago, and professional gaming in 2009 versus today is completely different. Like today, everything is so much more blown up. There's so much more opportunity. Um, Back then, there was like one big tournament. It was like the first like $1 million gaming tournament, and they had it once a year. And like now, like that's just like the norm. You know what I mean? So it's completely different. But as far as like what it takes to get there, like that's all the same. It's a grind. It's not as cool as it seems, right? Like, like on a light day, you're probably playing 10 to 12 hours, just practicing. And it gets to be a lot, honestly. It gets to be a lot. And I think that's why, like, you'll see, no matter what the game is, you'll see a lot of like pro gamers retire early because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. But you are absolutely right. It is like one of the coolest things you can do. There's so much recognition, like especially these days. I'm actually like kind of jealous. Like I wish I would have grown up today versus like back when I did, because there's so much more opportunity today that it's really awesome to see. So
So it's a really cool concept of being a professional gamer, because like the definition of professional means that you get paid to do it, right? So if
mhm,
you're a professional painter, like you make money off of doing that as your
right.
job. And so you were a professional gamer, right? Meaning that you were paid to do it and you were played at the highest level. And Vic, you are now a professional gamer because you get paid to play video games, even if you're not always competing, although you do compete in Warzone tournaments and you crush it. All right, I follow your stream. But you get paid to play video games. So I kind of question for you both, there's basically two avenues to being a professional gamer. You can either be a traditional pro playing at the highest level competitively and getting paid, or you can be a full-time Twitch streamer and you're getting paid to play games, which means you're technically a professional gamer. The question I guess I have for you both is, do you think that one path is maybe easier than the other, or maybe one leads to another better, or vice versa?
I mean, not really. Like, so for me, like when I started streaming, like people kind of a little bit already knew who I was. So in essence, it was like maybe a little bit easier, like on that front. But it's probably not easier to become a pro gamer either. You know what I mean? So I don't think like one path is easier. But I think like doing it either way like has its benefits for sure.
I think people have different talents too. I mean, there's people that are completely amazing at games, that are going to blow the competition out of the water and get attention for their skill level.
Hmm.
And then there's people who are more focused on content creation and the entertainment aspect of it. So just different avenues, I guess, for different
Yeah,
people.
for sure.
Yeah, and I've definitely run into those pro players that like when they play the game, they're like amazing, and like it's amazing to watch them play, but they're not a good content creator. They're
Right.
not good
No,
at
100%.
entertaining
Yeah.
or talking to chat, which is something that obviously you both excel at when you're doing that. And um, it's also funny to me that like Sin for you, like you professional Counter Strike, and then now whenever I catch you streaming, you're playing Fortnite, which is like it's like to me that's like the opposite end of the spectrum
Yeah.
as far as like what a game goes. Um, is is there anything I'm always curious, kind of the behind the scenes. So, it's on paper, Vic, like looking at it, it's like, oh, all you do is sit there and play video games. Like, how hard can it be? Is there any like something that you kind of want to tell people where you're like, uh, it's not that easy, like that, like little tips and tricks. Like for me, like working as a community manager, it's how much paperwork I have to do to actually get video game stuff to happen. Like, what is there anything behind the scenes that you kind of put a lot of work into that you feel like people don't recognize when they want to become a professional streamer?
100%. I mean, I think a lot of people think, oh, I play video games for 80 hours a week and stream every single hour, then I'm going to make it big. And I don't think that's true. You know, I spend a lot of time doing TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. I mean, all the socials. And I really only stream about 5 hours every day, and that's only on the weekday. So I feel like maybe there needs to be a balance between the amount of time streamed and the amount of time that you put in behind the scenes, because a lot of that, I think most of the work actually is behind the scenes.
No, she's exactly right. And that's what I tell everyone that's starting. Like, it's not how long you stream, it's really what you do off stream.
Yeah.
And like she said, I stream 10 hours a week. I stream 2 hours Monday through Friday. And it's literally, it's what you do off stream. It's the TikToks, it's the YouTubes, it's all that other content. That's what's going to get your name out there, because especially on Twitch, I've only streamed on Twitch, but like the discoverability on the platform as a medium sized creator is probably the worst out there. The big guys are made to grow bigger. The small guys, they have a way to get found. But it's the people like right in the middle, like you're scrolling, through rows of people in every game to get to the middle. And like that just doesn't really happen that often. So it's literally it's what you do off the platform that's going to help you grow.
So if for all the fitness junkies out there, it's when you plateau, right? It's when you've grown and then you're like, okay, I can see where I was and I can see where I am now, but I'm struggling to make it to that next level. I'm trying to get past where I am now and really get up there. Uh, can you both kind of talk about, and you kind of already have, but can you talk about building a brand? Like as far as like your brand, the BigSyn brand, the Inviicta brand, and like kind of what you did that worked for you.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of just like for me, like I struggle with branding. Like I didn't, I don't have a marketing background or anything like that, and I needed someone to help me. So I actually reached out to someone that was, really good at that, and like someone that does it already. And they kind of helped me like build my brand, like as far as like branding goes and all of that, like my logos and colors and all of that. Um, Obviously, there's a bunch of talented people out there that can do that stuff on their own, but I couldn't, so I knew I needed help, and that's why I reached out to like someone that was a professional to help me get there.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it just came down to being consistent. That's the bottom line. I mean, if you start on anything, you have to do it every single day, and it doesn't just happen overnight. So decide where your brand is going, pick a theme, the colors, like you were saying, and stick with it and post every day and diversify. Don't put your eggs in one basket, like post everywhere you can. Get your name out there. Everyone needs to know about you. So even though you may feel discouraged, I mean, that's the thing with content creation. You have like very high highs and very low lows. But eventually things start to even out, like as you uh, broaden your reach in the community.
And so, with that being said, as far as building out your brand, and Sin, I love that you were like, I don't know how to do this, so I went and asked people, and I think that's a really, really important lesson that needs to be taught. Especially, I'm a veteran, former military guy. Everyone here is part of the military family, and it's sometimes super hard. for military people to go out and say, "Hey, I need help with this, right? I don't know how to do this. I need to learn." So I think that's really great that you were like, "Hey, yeah, like I don't know how to do this. Let me get someone who does know and can show me the way." And then Vic, I absolutely love the idea, right, of market saturation. Like blow your name up, put it out there, make everyone sick of seeing your name, honestly, till eventually they click it and like, what's the deal with this person? Um,
Make good content, but also
yeah,
make sure you're
yeah,
seen. Because if you're posting one day on YouTube and you're like, "Oh, I got 4 views," and then you quit, I mean, nobody's
Right.
gonna see it. So you just got to
Exactly.
keep going. You got to believe in yourself. You got to believe in your content. You got to make the best stuff out there and just let the world see.
And
so that leads.
just remember like you're your biggest critic too, right? So if you watch your content back, just ask yourself like, is this something that someone else would want to watch? And if the answer is no, then you know you got to improve something, right? So that's what I always do. I just ask myself like, is this something I would stop and watch?
So that kind of leads me to the next thing I'm curious about. Um, where how do you handle the rejection or the slow growth, right, when you first are starting out and you do post that video and it only gets 4 views? How what's the mentality that you had to have in order to keep going forward and not give up?
So I mean, like for me, like when I really started pushing streaming, like I started TikTok at the same time, and like you post your first video on TikTok and you might get 200, 500 views. That's a lot. Like that was actually like enough for me to like get that high of like, okay, like this could work. 500 people just saw me make a silly video on TikTok. Like that was enough to get me excited and to get me keep moving. And then obviously like it kind of slows down, you get down in the 100 200 range, but like that's still a lot of different people seeing your content every day. That like, I don't know, maybe I'm different, but like for me that was enough to like just get me hooked and just want me to keep growing. And then like you get your first viral video someday, you get 1 million views or whatever, and like that will just for me it like fueled everything. It just made me want to keep growing. So I don't know, I think just make sure you're starting like diversifying your content on all the different platforms and seeing numbers, even if they're small, that's got to get you excited. That's got to get you excited. So
I don't think you can compare yourself to others too. I think a lot of people get burnout whenever they look at others and they're like, "Well, I posted a similar clip, a month ago and I got, half the views or whatever." You cannot compare yourself. It's just not, that's the quickest way that you're going to get discouraged. And you have to believe in your content and look at what you are doing. Focus on you and everything will be fine.
And I think too, you keep talking about diversifying, and I 100% agree. And you got to think, if you put a clip on YouTube and a clip on TikTok and a clip on, and someone on Twitch, you put a video on Twitch, and each one of those gets 10 views. Well, that's 30 views altogether, right? So if you've diversified and you've split that audience up, you can add those
Yeah.
numbers together and say, this clip got 20 and this other one only got 5, but together that's 25.
right,
You're still
Mhm.
growing your brand and your audience. So I think
exactly.
that's great.
Yeah.
Yep.
Um,
Recycling content's important.
so it takes a lot of resiliency to kind of push through the negativity and the doubt in the beginning. Sin, do you think that your time in the military helped with that at all, having that resiliency?
I mean, I'm sure it did. Actually, like for me, like I was playing professional Counter Strike while I was in the military, and like that was
Legend.
very tough. It was very very tough. Actually, like something I'll never forget. Like I was like getting ready to play in a big tournament, and like I was in the Air Force, so we had some jets to fix. And my supervisor gave me like a dose of reality one day. He was like, "The military didn't issue you a team." And like miss your tournament and come like that was like what it's something that will always stick to me. And he was absolutely right. Like so I don't know it, like the ups and downs like of being in the military and trying to juggle a pro career like at the same time. It was very hard, but it definitely will make you resilient and make you like bounce back from like any of the lows that you can have. So
And Vic, I mean, you're a mill spouse, so you have your own challenges. Do you think that I guess you do have the unique position of you have to move all the time, and
Hmm.
you have your own set of challenges that only military spouses have and no one else in the world has. Do you think that's impacted how you've handled your streaming career so far?
I mean, it definitely has. So I'm used to moving every couple of years. It's not something new to me. And honestly, streaming, even though it's a very volatile industry and kind of career path to have with its ups and downs, is actually the most consistent thing that I've had in my entire time as a military spouse, because otherwise I'm starting a job and then quitting a job after a year or two because we're moving, and then I'm starting a new job and then I'm quitting a job and I'm always starting over. So for me, streaming actually brought a sense of consistency that I've never had before. You know, my community travels all around the world with me, and that's really unique and awesome. I love it.
So it's kind of provided almost in a sea of chaos that is Twitch. It's kind of provided this like island of stability for you
It's still
almost.
chaos. It's still
Oh
chaos, but
yeah.
it's like a chaos that follows me, and my community goes, you know, through the ride with me, like ups and downs and all that. They do it with me, so that makes a huge difference.
Can you maybe, Vic, can you maybe talk a little bit about the challenges and the pros and cons of being a mill spouse in general, just when it comes to, life, and then how, you've kind of talked about how gaming has already helped you with that, but, kind of what you've done to stay sane, and how gaming has helped you through that, and what streaming has done and what streaming might do for you in the future.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I wouldn't change. I grew up in a military family also as a child, and then I married into the military. So that's all I've known my whole life. And I wouldn't change it for anything because I've lived all over the planet. I've met so many different people from all over the world and learned different languages and eaten foods that some people will never eat in their whole life. My kids, I have two boys. They've been to more countries than most adults have in their entire lifetime. So it's just been a really unique and awesome, exciting, never boring experience. And I wouldn't trade it for anything. And the streaming career that I have built now, it's the perfect addition to this lifestyle. Because like I said before, it's just so portable. It travels with me. I can do it anytime. I can go on vacation and not stream on Twitch, but I could like go live on Instagram, or I could post content on Twitter or on TikTok. You know, it never stops. It always travels with me. And I think that's pretty cool.
So we've focused really heavily on both of you, playing video games. The pro scene, the streaming scene. I kind of want to pivot a little bit, but I obviously still stay in the gaming space. Sin, you recently started an org, Limitless. Um, this this question's going towards you, but Vic, I'd like your opinion as well. Um, I said at the beginning of this, everyone talks about, or everyone thinks about, when you want to go professionally into the gaming space. You can be a content creator, or you can be a streamer, or you could be a pro player. But Sin, especially for you, now you've started a gaming org. Um, can you kind of talk about the behind the scenes, all of the different people and the careers and the input that goes into building out a gaming org, a gaming brand? Vic, that's where I'd like your input about all the people behind the scenes, the graphic designers, the social media, however, who you interact with and who you work with to build out this gaming brand. I'd like to hear all about that.
Yeah, I mean, so there's a ton that goes into it behind the scenes. So we officially launched Limitless 2 weeks ago today. So it's literally brand new. And there's so many staff positions behind it. I mean, we're 2 weeks old. We probably have, I think we have 7 graphic designers. We have an esports director. We have a social media manager. We have content leads, content managers, people that are in charge of like recruiting content creators. There's so much more than like what the public sees. And it's a lot that goes into it. So I've probably been working on this for about 6 months in the background before we went live. Like, we wanted a full content roster. We wanted, our esports director and everything like already like on the prowl, trying to, make this something that as soon as we announced it, like it would go crazy. Like we had 1,000 followers on Twitter in the first week, which was really cool to see. Like, as a new team just starting up, and like there's so much more work than I thought that went into this. Like even like being a part of, I most recently was in Elevate. Elevate's a huge, professional org, and there's so much more work than I really thought. And actually, I talked to the CEO of Elevate before I did this, and he's like, "Man, this is a lot of work. Just be ready." He was like super like willing to help me and kind of like give me like some tips and stuff like that, which was really cool. Even though that meant I was leaving Elevate, like he still was, like by my side, like, hey, like you've got a contact in me, I can help you. Just reach out. So it kind of like it takes a lot of people behind the scenes, but it also a little bit like for me like took kind of someone to push me and kind of like this is something I wanted to do forever. Um, It's a lot. It's a lot, but it's been a really fun journey, and I honestly can't wait to see where it goes. It's only been 2 weeks, and I'm like literally like, I eat, sleep, and do everything for Limitless. So it's a crazy journey that I can't wait to see where we end up.
And the possibilities are
Limitless, they
limitless.
are.
Hey. Okay, Vic. So kind of the same thing, right? I mean, you had a marketing background, right? And you talked about building your brand. Are there people that you've interacted with and worked with professionally, that you kind of you didn't even realize that was a thing before you really got into streaming full time?
I mean, just for my stream alone, I have a whole team of people that help me on a daily basis. My stream moderators, they make sure that my chat stays clean, that, people get banned if they need to be banned. They keep my commands up to date. They keep my Discord running. They suggest, content ideas. I mean, they're really the backbone to the whole community. And they represent the community. When they go out on Twitter or they go out in other communities, they're like, oh, that's one of Inviicta's mods, like they're kind of, people get to know who the people are that work, within the community. And so we're like one big family who really puts in a lot of work. It's not just me. And then I also have like on TikTok, being over here in Korea, when I upload to TikTok, it is region locked to Korea, and Warzone is not a huge game over here. So I had to find a workaround. I had to find someone in America to actually upload all of my content to TikTok. So I have people working literally around the clock and all over the planet, kind of trying to make this work. So it's definitely a lot more behind the scenes than you might think.
That's really cool. I did not know that about the region lock on Korea. That's really really interesting, and that's a
I
cool
think it might
workaround.
be TikTok in general. Like it just puts it out to wherever you're uploading from.
Okay,
So
I mean that's a really smart workaround though, and it also shows like the effort that you have to go through to get your content out there. And that's really cool. I love hearing stuff like that. Um, so with with Limitless, you were already with Elevate, and Vic, you're with your org. Shout out to Tampa Bay. Um, but you were with an org already with Elevate. Um, and they're a great org. What kind of drove you to want to create your own gaming org, and what are your goals for the future to kind of set yourself apart from the
Yeah.
other gaming orgs that are out there?
So I knew, like, the day I retired from Counter-Strike, which was in 2009, I knew that this would be something I did someday. Like, there's a competitive void that got left, and I know that, like, I'm getting old, like the reflexes are slowing down. Like I knew like that this would happen. So I wanted to wait until I was at a point financially where I could make it so it didn't fail. Right. I didn't want to do it too early, while I was still trying to get my feet, on my ground after getting out of the military and all of that. And now I've got, being a Twitch partner and all that, like kind of like some income to throw at it. I really wanted to wait until I could make it happen. And that just happened to be right now. I just want to be a part of something that's bigger than me, right? Being a part of Elevate was cool, but like I want to be the one to take it to the top. Like Elevate is awesome. Like I love those guys. Like I still talk to them almost every day. And but like I just wanted to do something for myself, and that was where Limitless came from. I knew it was going to happen. It was just a matter of time. So
And so Vic, you stream for an org. You're a content creator for an org, but you are very much your own brand as well. Do you have any kind of plans for the future? Right, like this is a job interview. What do you plan to do in the next 5 years? Where do you see yourself? No, just do you have any like goals that you kind of have put in your brain where you're like, this is where I want to be, or this is where I want to take this to the next level? Or are you good where you are right now, because you are at a great spot? So if you're like, this is where I like to be and I'm happy, that's completely fine as well.
I definitely consider myself to be at the beginning still stages. I'm definitely not where I want to be forever. It's definitely stressful. Having your main income source being streaming, knowing I have to be live to be able to, subs and viewer count. People are looking at all these stats and stuff. It's like very stressful. So I want to get to a point where I'm doing this and I can focus on what I'm very passionate about, which is helping others. And that's what I love about the USO. I can combine gaming and the USO and the military all in one. So I want to get to a point where I can just do that and not worry too much, you know? Like I can focus just on what makes me happy and what makes other happy and what helps people.
Awesome. So you have your plans in place. BigSyn, you've got your plans in place. You're growing an entire org. Vic, you're growing the entire brand of yourself. Um, and I know it's a ton of work. I know. I mean, Vic, I watch you stream. I know how often you stream. Sin, I know what you do for a full time job, and you stream on top of that as well. I know you're both hustling and putting in the hours. How do you deal with burnout? Because that's not unique to the gaming world at all. It's pretty much in any career and industry, but unfortunately, in this industry, you constantly have to be producing content and you constantly have to be innovating and coming up with great new things. So, how do you kind of, I'm not going to say prevent burnout, but how do you mitigate it and maybe even see it coming and try to give yourself a breather and refresh a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it can be a lot, and it's probably different for me than it is for Vic because I am not a full time streamer. I do work a full time job. So for me, like, if I got to take 3-4 days away from streaming or content, like, I can do that. You know what I mean? Because that's not my main source of income. So it's probably a little bit different for me. I don't really burn out, to be honest, because I stream 10 hours a week, and then obviously do like limitless stuff and all that. But I don't really burn out, and if I do, I just take a few days and get away from it, and just know that everyone will be there when I get back. That's probably the hardest thing to do is remember that like I don't know about you, Vic, but like I still get anxiety every time I go live that no one's gonna show up, and like just like getting it through your head that like you could take a break and people will be there when you get back. Like that's one of the hardest things, and then once you figure that out, then you're kind of okay.
Yeah, and I mean that for me, when I moved, I lived previously in Germany and now I moved to Korea. I had to take like a 2 month break, and it was when Mixer shut down, and then so I had to move my brand from Mixer over to Twitch and take a 2 month break, and it was a lot. Like it was really scary because it felt like starting over. So at the beginning there, it did feel very grindy. Like I was putting in a lot of hours, and I was just trying to get back to the numbers that I had before. And I think that is what causes burnout because you cannot focus on just the numbers. The numbers don't define you. It's really the content that you're making. It's what goes on behind the scenes. Like, are you eating healthy? Are you sleeping enough? Are you working out? Are you streaming when you're able to? And I think when you make sure all of those other things are in place, then your stream turns out better, your content becomes better, and you also don't get burned out. And then also, I wanted to add, I kind of touched on this with the last question you asked me, but um, focusing on things other than gaming, but still incorporating gaming really um, has helped me too. Like I said, with the USO, or how can I help, the people here who are quarantining in government barracks, they need basics supplies, how can I use my gaming to raise money for this? Or how can I raise money for the USO and help the soldiers that are deployed? Or, just other things that you're actually passionate about. If gaming just disappeared, what are you passionate about outside of that? And how can you kind of combine those things? That way you're not just focused on numbers and viewers and sub count and stuff. It doesn't matter because you did something amazing for other people, instead. So that helps.
Yeah, and it's that passion, right? Like you have that passion, and that's going to drive you forward. You're going to look back and you're going to say, "Hey, like I did all this cool stuff because of gaming and using gaming,
Yeah,
and now that'll propel me to do more cool stuff with gaming." Right?
right. And it makes you feel good. Like, I mean, sub numbers can only make you feel so good. The
Right.
paycheck is only a paycheck. You're not really making a difference. So I don't know.
It's a good message. I'm going to clip that and put that all over all kinds of stuff.
I ended it kind of lame with an I don't know, but you got
we'll,
my
we'll
point.
edit. We'll cut that little bit out right there. No, that's fine. That's awesome. So I guess I only probably have like a few more questions for you. And this one is I 100% going to put you on the spot right here, right now, both of you. Um, Sin, first to you, and this is going to kind of help you out, Vic, because you're going to have a real similar question in a second. But
Okay.
Big Sin, first question goes to you first. If you could give 1, 2, 3 bullet point tips to someone who is in the military right now, and maybe they're thinking about getting out or they know they're going to get out, and they want to go in the same direction you went as far as like starting an org, right? Or they want to be a professional in the gaming space. 1, 2, 3 bullet points tips to give them.
Honestly, I mean, it's super hard to get into that space. You have to be stable already. So like honestly, I would say like find either an investor first, like someone that's willing to invest into an org, or you have to get you have to grind yourself. So get a full-time job, get that income rolling to where you have disposable income and you can put that into an org. Um, Create connections. Like obviously, like networking is super big in the org space. Like you got to know people to grow. 100 Thieves didn't become 100 Thieves just because Nate Shot put his name on it. There was huge investors that were behind the scenes. I think Dan Gilbert, the owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers, was one of their big investors to help them get off the ground. So like creating connections, use LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a very good tool, and a lot of people that are in the military and in the gaming space don't use LinkedIn, but like that's such a good place to meet with some venture capitalists and things like that. So I would say network, get on LinkedIn, and then just be passionate. You got to be passionate about it because it's not easy to do these things. Like it's really not easy. So make sure this is something you want to 100% put your mind to, and just be passionate about it, because like passion is what's going to take you to the next level.
Yeah, when I left the army, they were like, "All right, we're gonna help you set up a LinkedIn profile," and I was like, "What? What is
Exactly.
a LinkedIn profile?" So yeah, I definitely agree that that could be a very useful tool. Networking is super important in this space because there are a lot of people in it, and it is definitely a little bit about who you know. So Vic, very similar question to you. To any military spouse who is currently a military spouse and maybe they love to play games and they want to take their streaming to the next level, or even just get into streaming, or our military personnel that are getting into streaming, or maybe they're about to leave and want to commit full time to streaming. Any tips and tricks for them? 1, 2, 3 bullet points.
I mean, my number 1 and 2 definitely are consistency and have fun. That's like the key to producing, I think, good content that will be seen. As far as specifically for the military spouse, I mean, when your partner deploys, hit the Xbox up, like create content, just grind away. You're already playing video games, you're already sitting at home doing that. So clip it, make good content, diversify, and see what happens. I mean, it could turn into something great. You don't know.
And don't give up and don't chase the numbers, right? Like don't get obsessed with
Yeah.
your 4 views. Like,
Just have fun because the
have
rest
fun.
will come. Like have fun and create good content.
That's what both of you touched on that, right? That's that passion, right? Have the passion and have fun. Have a good time doing it. Because if you're
Mhm.
miserable doing it, then why are you doing it in the first place? What's the point?
Exactly.
Okay, so very last question. I guess maybe second to last question, but this one hardest question I'm going to ask you all day. Are you ready? Steel
I'm ready.
yourselves. Here we go. What game are you both playing right now, and what games are you looking forward to in the future?
For me, so I'm like in like a really stale place with video games. So I finally decided to give Fortnite a try. Uh, I've been like, listen, I've made fun of Fortnite for so long,
Yeah,
and
no,
in the last, I don't know, maybe 5 weeks, I've been finally giving it a shot. And listen,
definitely not like
I'm
3 years too late at all, man. Like at
no,
all.
I know, totally. I've been listen, I've made fun of Fortnite so much, and I'm actually really enjoying it. There's such a learning curve to it, and like I can like legitimately feel myself get better at it every time I play it. So it's like I don't know, it's been one of those fun things. And as far as like games that are coming, I really want to get back into like the MMORPG space. I'm not going to play New World, which actually comes out today, I think.
Today, yeah,
But
like literally right now,
literally
actually.
today. But I think Ashes of Creation, I think is going to be one of the next big ones. That's one that I'm really looking forward to.
Cool. Vic?
Well, to no surprise to anyone, I'm playing Warzone at the moment.
Hey.
But there is a new mode called Iron Trials, and I am so hooked. I love it. So I think that was a great addition to the game that I hope stays. And then a game that I'm looking forward to is actually Halo. I'm really excited for that. I think it'll be
Yes.
fun. I'm excited.
Did you play the beta or the test yet?
I have not had a chance. I did get invited. I think next weekend it'll be open again. So
Okay, you made me not feel bad because I got invited this weekend and I didn't do it either.
Oh
I
no.
couldn't make it. No.
Yeah.
Oh 343, we're sorry. Please don't watch this.
I know.
No, I'm a longtime Halo fanboy, so I'm very excited about that as well. Um, okay, well, I just wanted to say thank you for joining me. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to kind of let us in behind the scenes a little bit about what it takes to be a professional in this industry. And then my very, very last question for you, BigSyn, I'll let you go first, and then Vic. But do you have any last thoughts, any message to the troops and their families that are watching this?
I mean, if you like I said, like gaming was a huge part about me when I was in the service myself. So if you are gaming, to kind of escape the different things in the military, just keep putting your mind to it. And if you want to make content a career, you can do it. There's tons of communities out there that are like full of veterans and active duty service members. Find some friends to play with and just keep doing what you're doing and enjoy it. Have fun with it.
Yeah, and I mean, my advice, or just something that I've noticed moving around, is that every base seems to have a gaming community, like on Facebook or maybe through the USO or Army Community Service or whatever branch that you're in. They usually have a group of people that game together. So look for that. That's a really great source for anybody moving around all the time, looking for friends or just a sense of community. So gaming can bring us together, and I think that's a really cool thing about it.
Okay, and Vic, if they want to catch you streaming, where should they tune in?
Twitch.tv/Inviicta is Inviicta.
And Sin, if they want to get connected with Limitless.
They can find us on Twitter. It's GG Limitless. That's another thing that's like there's like kids growing up these days are just trying to find a handle that's available on social media is so tough. So unfortunately, it's GG Limitless on Twitter. That has all the links to our website and everything on there. So that's the easiest place to find us.
Awesome. And for all of you watching, if you do want to connect with that military community and find some fellow gamers, get involved in community events, in tournaments, get hooked up with our gaming ambassadors like BigSyn and Inviicta, you can come hang out with us at Discord, discord.gg/the USO, and twitch.tv/the USO. Thank you all for watching. Thank you to my gaming ambassadors for joining us. I am Ian Yaki Wright. This has been BigSyn and Inviicta, and we are the USO. Thank you for watching.